First off, mate, I said that first quarter, the pressure was incredibly low from the team. What did you put that down to, and what did you do to change that throughout the rest of the game?
Yeah, I think, you sit here with mixed emotions as a senior coach. Like, that first quarter was, unacceptable, in terms of our ability to win the ball, our ability to pressure the ball, our ability to get our hands on the ball. And, Gold Coast were unbelievable, but we were miles off early in the game. And clearly that was the game. At quarter time, you're 37-1 down. You probably could have been more down. But and then you sit here, for the last three quarters, really proud of the group. The grit, 2 players down with concussion, the ability to fight, get the game back with pressure, contest, effective ball use inside 50. And you see your team grow. But, you walk away again with a disappointing result. In an outcome-based sport, it's frustrating.
What was the message to the group, particularly at quarter time, to, spark that change?
Get your hands on the ball to start with, ramp up your pressure, get the tackle, and that'll be the first stepping stone to getting back in the game. That was the part that was miles off early. We couldn't get the ball out of our back half, and Gold Coast's ability to put the forward pressure on was elite, but we couldn't get our hands on the ball around clearance, around contest, and we just looked a complete step off.
And was the move of Jack Viney back into the midfield group in that second quarter a part of that? Was that designed specifically to improve that part?
100%. What do you know about Jack Viney? He loves contest, he loves tackle, he loves pressure, and he went in there, vice captain, and turned it around. It was an unbelievable performance by Jack to, be able to set himself up for the week to play forward. And then when the game was looking like that, to go in there and spark a turnaround from the team in that phase of the game was just brilliant. And that's why you sit here as a coach with really big mixed emotions about the game, because you see what that first quarter was like and you see what the rest of the game was like, and it was just completely different.
Was there any sense going in that the first quarter was coming or anything like that?
No, obviously when you're coming off the bye, you're conscious of your preparation, and we put a bit of load into the boys early in the week. We tried to dial up the contest stuff because, obviously when you spend some time away, that's the part of the game that you got to get up for the battle again. And, we'll have to go back and have a look at our preparation, through that period to make sure, when your team rocks up to play, they're here to play in a physical nature for what the game demands. And early in the game, we weren't at that level. And, when you're playing a top 4 style team, top 6 team, which Gold Coast are, you get found out pretty quick.
What are you expecting after that, and you didn't get your result? I know you're pleased with your last 3 quarters by the sounds of it, but how do you weigh it up, the grit versus just walking away without anything?
Yeah, I think we'd take some time to digest it all. Obviously there's a level of frustration, as I've said. We're in an outcome-based sport where winning's important, but we also make sure we've got to make sure our processes are good, and we'll certainly have a deep dive into that first quarter, work out the reasons why, and own that together as a coaching group and as playing group. And then we'll go away and look at the last 3 quarters around what our method looked like when we were actually giving the game what it deserved. And, from the eye, once we gave it that, there was a lot to like, but we didn't get the result.
Does it make it even harder after a start like that when you then obviously lose 2 guys to concussion before half-time as well, and you have other guys as well?
Yeah, and that's the things you're so proud of in your team. When you're down like that and you need a response, and then you lose 2 players and everyone else has got to step up in different roles and have the flexibility and the work rate to keep pushing against a pretty, as I said, a team that works incredibly hard. They're the things you love about, your team, and they're the things that we'll grow from as we look at it.
Jake's performance inside forward 50, I know you compared goal kicking to putting during the week.
Yeah.
But he walks away with 5-6, a tremendous goal with 5 goals, but those missed opportunities in what turned out to be a 19-point loss.
Yeah, look, I think, if you looked at both teams, I thought Gold Coast probably missed some shots early in the game that they could have taken, and as I said, the margin could have been bigger. But Jake Melksham's game was unbelievable. You're talking about a guy that's experienced player, and he's still providing an enormous option for us as a forward. To have 11 shots at goal. Yeah, obviously you love it to be 7 or 8, but he was cramping early in the third quarter. But he managed to continue to find a way and will his way, and he's an incredibly smart footballer and makes us better.
I don't know if, sorry, mate, I don't know if you've had a chance to see or if you watched the VFL, but what did you see from Jake Weber? You put him back there, and yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, obviously Jake went back and, you know, he's had a really difficult season, you know, difficult pre-season and a difficult season. You know, he had ankle and shoulder surgery throughout the summer, had a really delayed pre-season, and then obviously by round 2 he was back in having more surgery, you know, a 6-week layoff again. And since he's come back, his form just hasn't quite been to the level. And we said that a lot with players. So the mindset was to get him to go back, to feel really strong about his footy, to feel like he's competing really hard again and working hard. And he took a step forward today. Now we'll have to go back and have a look at it and assess it for next week. But that was the process, was to try and get him back into some really good form where he's really feeling good about his footy. And you know, he's a highly valued member of our team and our club and a leader. And we want to get him back into the team in good form as quick as possible.
So you're thinking it's like a week-to-week proposition with him? It's not like necessarily a block back there?
No, look, it's just to get him back feeling good about his footy, back playing, you know, where you feel confident about your game. And sometimes you can do that at VFL level and you come back a really much improved and confident player. And you know, he's someone that we value highly and we expect him to come back soon.
Thanks, Footy.
Thanks, guys.